Can you guys hear me?
Testing.
Test.
I can hear that.
Nope. This is a test of the emergency broadcast system. This had been an actual test, you'd be dead.
Thank you for that, Tim.
Oh, there you go.
Oh. No. Yes, Laura.
You see,
Oh boy, is he dead meat? Yeah, I'm gonna stay here. I've got a meeting going, so I'll talk to you when I get home.
3,
No.
2, 1.
All right. My grandson was supposed to go to homework club after school. He didn't show up. He just came home.
All right. But he's okay.
He's okay, but
All
it's not gonna be after my daughter I don't have to do it anymore. I don't have to deal with it.
Counselor, I am calling this meeting to order.
We don't have a,
So would you please call the roll and see if we have a quorum?
Dan Richardson,
Present.
Ben Ring,
Present.
Kristen Lovick is absent. Tim McLaughlin,
yes, present.
Scott Higgies absent. Marcus Swift,
Here.
Walter Dinstedt,
Here.
and Jill Amory.
Very good. Please stand with me if you're able, and we will say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for that. As aspirational as that might be, I trust we'll continue striving towards it. Let us have a look, and if we're ready, let us approve the agenda, please. If there are any comments, additions, or subtractions we need to make, we good? I'd take a motion to approve.
I would so
Peggy had
move.
moved to approve the agenda.
But I second it then.
I note that Commissioner Hagee has made a motion. It's been seconded. All in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Next on our list of business is approval of the minutes from August 19th. If people had time enough to peruse, do you have any comments, additions, or subtractions? Any edits for those?
Everything looked good to me.
Nicely done. I would entertain a motion for that.
I move we approve the minutes of the last meeting.
McLaughlin will second.
All in favor without further discussion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Jake, would you like to have our guests introduce themselves?
Yes.
Excellent.
So we brought our new employees. As you can see, there's quite a few of us, fresh faces to the city lately. And if you would, lady, please introduce yourself.
Meyer, I'm the new finance director for City of Dalles. Brenda Fahey, I'm the assistant city manager and human resources director for the City of Dalles.
Thank you both for being here. Thanks for stepping up and joining the team. Does anybody have any questions for our new finance and new ACM?
Yes, let me get my red pen out. I'm only kidding.
Very good. Thank you. Any thoughts you'd like to share with the Urban Renewal Board this evening? Excellent. I trust you will both will have a look at our work and budgets and numbers and actions in due course, and feel free to communicate or send thoughts. Make sure to keep us on the straight and narrow.
Would you ladies tell the board where you came from previously?
Sure. I was with City of Portland for about 24 years prior to this. And I was with the Public Health District for the last 4.5 years.
Well, welcome aboard. Thank you, guys.
I've got one question. Who is your favorite principal? Never mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies.
He did the same thing to me.
Now we come to the public comment portion of this meeting. Is there anybody that would like to address the Urban Renewal Agency Board or staff at this time? Seeing none, we'll pass without comment. First on our action items for the evening is grant agreement with the GMA Properties. Jake?
Yes.
Jacob?
Thank you, Chair and members of the council. As you can see, today's meeting is a little light because it's such a beautiful day and we want to get you home to enjoy it and to deal with your grandchildren.
That would be wonderful.
So you have before you a grant agreement, which is phase 3 for the Jemay properties for the American Legion Hall. And as you've seen with all the Jemay properties, this is kind of bootstrapped. And it's, I think, what we want to see in this town, where people are moving in, they're buying properties and they're rehabbing them, and they do it when they have the cash to do it. And so while it may be a bit more work for staff to do it in phases versus, one big grant agreement, we're happy to do it. And this is phase 3. So this is the old Legion Hall, which you saw phase 1 and 2, where they renovated the upstairs, the second floor, which is something that the Urban Renewal Agency has been in favor of and pushing for years to redo these second floors. And not only did they complete that, but as soon as they completed it, they leased it out. And so that's a success story, I would say, for Urban Renewal. And now they're interested in renovating the basement of the Legion Hall. I'm sure some of you went to parties down there back in the day and have seen what it could be. And so they want to start with the outdoor facade. And so working on the door and the area around the door to get into the basement. And it's for a very small amount, which usually for small projects or small amounts, it's something that we can do administratively as staff. But because the overall property has now went over $50,000 in total funding, we now need to bring it before the board for any additions after $50,000. And then once we get above $100,000, they'll be required to write up a public benefit statement if they get there. But right now, what you have before you is an agency contribution of $4,120, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Who's upstairs, Jake? Just out of curiosity.
It is a local law firm. I don't know the name of it.
They have Firefly, Women's Boutique, Gorge City Barbering, Artisan Market on the main floor, a law firm, and now they're going for the basement.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
And I expect to see more out of the basement. When I took a tour of it, it looks like there could be asbestos on the floor, so they'll likely be coming in future to try to get that flooring removed, which is something that is allowable expense. We want to get that out of there.
No doubt. Does anybody have any questions or thoughts about the project grant agreement? Any board comments or questions? Yes.
Just say I've been constantly impressed by the work that they've done and the investment in the community. And so I really fully support this. And I love what they're doing and I hope they keep doing it.
As long as they can fill the building up, it seems like a useful or fruitful investment. Anything on this side? Sorry, I seem to be leaning this way.
No, I didn't see anything that caused me to question what was going on.
I hope this serves as an example to the community that when you do reinvest, it does lease up. You know, when I walk around town, there's a bunch of lease signs in the second floors in a lot of these office buildings, and it's pretty nice when somebody actually puts the money in, then it leases right immediately.
Hopefully that'll be a good example for conversations as you and we all have run into people or go about our daily business. Well, thank you. Is there anybody that would care to make a motion in support of or opposed to this grant agreement?
Sure.
Marcus.
Chair, I would move to authorize the agency manager to execute an incentive program grant agreement with Jemay Properties for phase 3 of the Legion Hall as presented.
I'll second the motion.
Motion is active. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, let's take a vote. All in favor of the motion, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. Those
Aye.
opposed? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Jake, and thanks to Lindsay and Tom for their good work. Action item 7B is authorization to use the Tony site as a laydown yard. Oh, we better talk about this. Lay it on us. What do you got?
Chair and members of the board, as we know, we are heavily invested, both the city and urban renewal and downtown. We have the First Street project, and we have the Tony site, and we have the Federal Street Plaza. And I'll give you an update here shortly about the fermentation hub and what happened there. But in the end, right now, we don't have a project slated for the Tony site. What we do have is a very nice opportunity to make sure that when we do the Federal Street Plaza, that we keep the prices as low as possible. And one of the best ways that you can do that is by providing a contractor a laydown yard so that they don't have to go out and acquire one themselves. Because when they do have to go out and acquire one themselves, they have to pay for it. And of course, you as the city and we as the agency will end up finding a way to have to pay those bills. So what this is a for your discussion and hopefully decision that the agency will choose to use the Tony site as an official laydown yard for the Federal Street Plaza, thus saving the city and the agency money in that process. With the fermentation hub not moving forward, we currently don't have something to move on that site. We'll talk and we can talk a little bit more about what to do with Tony's site. But as you know, there's a process. If we started in a couple of months, the Federal Street Plaza will be done by the time something starts getting built on the Tony site anyways, because you have to go through the entitlement process. Somebody has to do design. Somebody has to figure out what to do with that site based on what the board wants to do with the site in the first place. So it's the opportunity cost from my perspective of using this as a laydown yard to the agency is nil. If anything, I would say the opportunity cost is not an opportunity cost. If you put $5 million or so into a plaza right next to your property, by my math, that's going to increase the value of your property no matter what. And so it only in the end will increase the value of the agency's asset by allowing the laydown yard and thus having a buildable piece of property right there for when we're done. Some of the conversations that we can have moving forward is what we want to maybe temporarily do with the Tony site before anything permanent happens. And those are all conversations that we can have over the next year while the Federal Street Plaza goes through the process of construction.
Do any board members have questions of staff about this request?
Well, you kind of already said, that you feel that they won't need it for the laydown site any longer by the time anybody's ready to build something on the Tony site. And I'm thinking on most contractor things, there's kind of a date that they're supposed to finish on. And if they don't get done, there's additional costs that they're going to incur if they're postponed. Are we going to have that in in some kind of construction contract for the plaza?
That would be a great question for the city manager and those who are going to put forward the contract for how we're going to bid out the plaza in terms of what kind of liquidated damages there are if it goes beyond. I know we have an internal date on when we want to see that thing open, and I believe it's very close to a year from now for Halloween.
Well, and that sounds reasonable and everything. I just, don't want to leave. I just don't think we should leave it open ended because there's typically delays that occur, and if we do have somebody that's ready to step up and start building there, and don't want to run into that. Well, you can't do it yet because we haven't finished the plaza.
Right. And by all respects, by my numbers on entitlement times and everything, I think it'll probably be April or ish of 2027 before somebody would be potentially able to start building
At Tony's.
on the Tony site if they started in a few months from now.
So in other words, there's no real opportunity. We wouldn't be holding up a potential development at Tony's if we use this as a laydown yard.
Correct.
That was my question. Any other thoughts or questions, concerns?
Quick
Yeah, thank you.
question.
I see one from, saw Ben's hand go up first. Ben, Mr. Ring.
Thanks, Chair. Quick question. I know we've done this, but I just wanted to ask the question. We've got indemnification and whatever else is required for that for the contractor to use the property since we own it, and like if there are damages or things stolen or things like that, like is our liability covered?
I believe our city attorney and agency attorney is online right now, and I had that same question, Ben.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Good evening, everyone. If and when all of this happens, absolutely, it's a standard provision in all of our license agreements. It's one that I would use, keeping in mind that the site is shovel ready. Clearly, and it's in pristine condition, right? And so, in fact, it should be pretty easy to tell if there is any damage, and of course, it'll be fully covered by whoever is using it. And so, not to worry.
Does that satisfy your question, Ben? Very good.
Yep. Thanks.
James Marie.
Thank you, because I had some of the same questions about timing, about projects. So thank you for going there. But the language is a bit concerning of the use would be temporary. It should conclude what your estimates of a project might be. So like what I'd love to hear is best case scenario. If somebody was ready to do a project, how quickly could they get through it? And our language of the temporary use could we have a little stronger language with timing just to assure that we wouldn't be holding something up?
So, I guess playing a part of city staff as well as agency staff, it's kind of a marriage between the two. And if we wanted to move forward on the Tony site, say in the fall, and somebody came out of the blue tomorrow and said, I have a $20 million project and I want to build it and I've got equity and I want to do it. And here's my checking account and I'm going to go talk and get my entitlements from planning and we want to move forward. Then I think that would be the happiest problem we could ever have. Do I feel that that's reality? When we look at the cost and the time to build things downtown, and while I know that our community services department moves mountains in order to get projects to move quickly, I try to be realistic about how long it takes to get things done. And if somebody comes to the table, they've got to first get all their designs done. And I think we've seen another project downtown where how long it takes to get through the building permit process. If you need any leeways, if you need any exceptions, the amount of time it takes to go through any of those planning processes, you know, when I say 14 months from start to breaking ground, that's my happiest of times in terms of success, right? Especially when we're talking about building on a large lot downtown. I mean, it takes a long time to design and build these things. Look at how much time it takes us to design the plaza, which we're, you know, still wrangling over, and how much time it takes to design the first street, you know, how many years we're into it. I just try to be realistic. But if the board wants us to put some sort of their language in there, I believe when I asked, there is language in there that we can cancel our agreement at any time with 60 days. And so if we need to tell our other half, hey, we need that land to start the next construction project. Well, I think when we build on Tony's lot, we're going to be needing some of the city's lot as a laydown yard, probably for when we build on Tony's lot. So I don't know if we want to push too hard on that because it is a marriage.
Follow up?
I just tend to be the eternal optimist, so I would like some leeway in there. You never know.
Anyone else on the board? Any other thoughts? Anyone from the public care to ask or weigh in? We have a motion on page 30 of our packet. What's the board's pleasure?
Chair, I move to adopt the Tony site as a laydown yard for the Federal Street Plaza project and authorize staff to sign the license agreement.
There's second to the motion.
I'll second it.
Very good. First and second, is there any further discussion from the board?
That if we could add some of that language, if we could put in like a pivot, cancellation if we needed to.
That would be, Jonathan, that language is currently as part of the agreement, right?
Yeah, I mean, so every license, a license is another way to think about it, is it's the, you know, giving permission, and giving permission to use our property for a purpose is very common for any government or any property owner. Typically, those are it's a little bit different than a lease. A lease is basically like a guaranteed right for the tenant and for the landlord. With a license, it's basically like a one-way street. There's a tremendous amount of flexibility for the property owner. And so I guess what I would say is, you know, you could make it revocable at any time. You can make it revocable with 2 months notice. I would just remind the board that as Jake just mentioned, and I think the board knows too, that, you know, when it comes time to develop that site, it makes a whole lot of sense to have a laydown yard with the city who owns the property abutting it. And so I'd just be mindful that, you know, any of the conditions that the board is thinking about imposing here, you know, they'd probably be reciprocal in the event that the board needs to use a laydown yard on the city's property. And so typically the way I structure those is it's a one-way street. You can put on mostly any conditions that you want governing the use. You can limit the use to, you know, only be used for this reason, and that's it. And you can revoke it pretty much at any time as needed. And those guardrails are really up to the board. Is that helpful?
Yes, thank you.
And
Yeah, you
I
bet.
can direct you to Part C on page 32. It gives us 30-day notice. If you make it a notice at any time that they can no longer use that, I would warn the council that if I were a contractor, I would look at this as saying, oh, I have access to a laydown yard that I could lose at any time. And if I lose that laydown yard, I have to go find it somewhere else. And now I'm gonna charge you for that. Whether I use it or not, I've got to protect my class.
I would ask you, board member Amory, if you felt 30 days notice was sufficiently rapid pivot, or if you prefer to propose some other language.
Longer is fine. That seems awfully short to me. And that wasn't how I read it, so thank you.
Any other?
I'm not trying to kick them off. I just don't want to miss an opportunity. I think think one of the projects that you mentioned is not the norm and has taken a very long time and has taken this whole community to try and get it across the finish line. So I don't like using that as the norm, but I would hate to miss another opportunity if someone did show up ready, but I certainly don't want to kick the city off of the lot.
Please.
May we get your name and your address, please? We don't recognize you.
Should ask for his
How's
Taylor
that?
as well.
Ask for what?
His Taylor as well.
Matthew Kalib, City Manager, City of the Dalles. 30 days is short, but I think the collaboration and close coordination that we have between the city and the Urban Renewal Agency will know far in advance if something of a unicorn is coming down the pipeline, and we'll be working on that together. The other thing I'll go out on a limb on saying is that if a unicorn really is coming down the pipeline and the Tony's lot needs to be developed and the plaza still needs a laydown yard, I'd probably end up closing more of the First Street parking lots to the west of the transportation building. That would take some coordination and communication, not only with the contractor, but also with the community. We have an informational meeting coming up that I bet staff is going to talk about here shortly. And so that'll have impacts and parking impacts and things like that. But again, if there's a unique situation that we really don't want to miss on, I mean, I think collectively we're not going to want to miss on it, and we'll work together to work through that.
Thank you for that.
Any additional thoughts? We have a motion on the floor, so I'm going to call for a vote. All those in,
We have a second.
we did. Yep. All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, motion passes. Sounds like unanimously. Please go forth and use a laydown yard and build some stuff. Next on our agenda is board member comments. I'll just kind of go around the room and start with those online, please. Ben, do you have any comments? Commissioner Ring, do you have any comments or questions to share tonight?
Not tonight.
Okay.
Thanks.
Looks like Commissioner Hagee's popped off.
No, Mr. Hagee messaged me and he said, Tim, not sure this is still an active number. It is, but I need to board a plane shortly. So let folks know why I vanished.
Very good. Well, we have you. Counselor, do you have any comments or thoughts as a board member tonight? Generally speaking.
No.
Nope. Mr. Swift, Ms. Amory. Fred.
Only thing I was going to ask Joshua, I was hoping that one of these meetings we would have a presentation from our fire marshal on fire suppression stuff, and they've contacted you, and you just need to coordinate with them to decide when. Is that what's going on, or?
Yeah, I believe there was a conversation previously. I think Jake and I were working on, bringing that forward, having the conversation with them, so we can check back in with Chris on that.
I'd appreciate it.
Bet.
Thank you, Walt. I'd appreciate hearing that as well. I have nothing particular to share tonight, I don't think. So let's move along. Staff comments and project updates.
One more update I have. The Jimays actually ended up buying another parcel of land. It's 208-210 Washington, and have already came forward after the purchase of that property for a small urban renewal incentive grant under the $50,000, of course. It is for $3,426 of urban renewal for a grand total cost of $6,852. And they're doing vapor barrier and insulation under the floor to help the tenants out who are in the first floor. And this is just start of phase one. As they, get through, they'll come to the next piece of that, but they'll be doing renovations on that property. To help people understand where it is, there's 208, 210. There is a gym in one of the units, and then the other is a hair salon.
Thank you. That
And-
was my next question. Continue. I
Yep.
think you have one or two other things.
I can give you an update on the Mint, which you chose to move forward with. I was able to finally finalize the grant agreement with Mr. Schechtel. I did a walkthrough of the property, and of course, they had still done some more work since the last time that we'd been in there. And so, what my requirement of him is that I need to see dates from all of his subcontractors and everything that he puts forward of when the work was completed, so that we are not paying for any work that was completed prior to the grant agreement going into effect. So I'm doing everything I can to safeguard the public's assets in that regard. And hopefully we'll see that project come to fruition within the next few months. But I can give you an update that the Free Bridge is now using the additional kitchen space, and so they are out of the basement and moved up, and they can put out more pizzas than they've ever been able to, and they have an enormous kitchen for the amount of tables that they have. So hopefully soon they'll have far more tables and can provide far more service in there.
Well, that sounds like good news. Thank you for that update.
Now to the next one, the fermentation hub. We had a sit down with Mr. Light and the fermentation hub. It was they came forward and said that the numbers just don't pencil for doing a $7 million building in there right now. It's a lot of capital costs to try to swing that with the price. We've all seen where interest rates are. It just makes it a really tough swing. They put forward their best effort, and they came forward and they did a really good job explaining to us where they were and what had happened, and you know there's nothing else that we could have done in order to try to get that over the line.
So we have a prime empty piece of real estate downtown if somebody's interested.
It's going to be worth a lot more here shortly.
Very good.
Knowing that, what are our options? Knowing that they're not going to go forward, do we have any backup plans? That property?
That comes to a lot of the discussion on the board's policy on where you'd like to go. One of the things that has crossed my mind is we may have a year or 2 years where somebody doesn't come forward until interest rates get to a better spot. What can we do to help activate the plaza during that time? One of the requests that I've had is can we put a couple of RV style outlets onto that lot so that during events or celebrations, we can bring in some food carts or something that we can put on that lot to help activate the plaza during that time. Another option would be is when the contractor leaves that staging yard, is that if we think it's going to be more than a year or two, do we want to put some grass on there so we have some grass next to the plaza that's not going to be difficult to remove, that's not going to be, it's not going to add cost in order to redevelop that parcel. Another option the board can take is to put it out for another RFP, RFEI, see what else is out there right now. Another option the board could say is go talk to the people who'd already applied and see if there's still interest out there. Right now, we are we're pretty firmly having very close discussions, and you saw the email from Miss Hanlon about where Basalt Commons is going. So we've got a lot of eggs in that basket as well at this moment, and I think we all want to see that succeed. And so the staff has kind of been sitting tight on this parcel of land right now.
Any thoughts from the board on this particular project or parcel at this moment? We've obviously had a lot of hopes for it. I think a year from now, we will have need to have a very sort of high level and really engaged conversation if somebody isn't already knocking on the door. Yeah.
I mean, the hope is when you invest $5 million into a parcel of land that definitely adds value to all the neighboring properties there and brings people downtown. And if it's being activated, it will market itself.
Thank you, Jake. Any other project updates? And if you don't speak about First Street, I'm just going to ask where and what next for First Street?
One thing that our city manager just brought up, we have an informational meeting on the 30th at 5:30 p.m. And so there will be an online link if people want to watch. It'll also be recorded for those that are still at work. And so we'll be talking about the First Street as well as Federal Street as well as the Weber Street project.
That's here. Where is that?
Yep.
Yep.
And I'll let Josh talk more about first.
Yeah, thanks, Jake. Just a couple updates for myself. Yeah, this informational meeting, we're going to touch on those 3 projects. We're really going to focus on traffic and parking impacts. Is going to be really the crux of that conversation. There's going to be a lot of construction going on, so we're going to be, limiting the amount of parking. First Street is entirely closed during that period of time. There's going to be a lot of detours. The intersection of the 2 different projects, the First Street project and the West First Street Interceptor project, which is happening over, as Jake mentioned, on like Weber and First Street. There's going to be a lot of, closures. So we want to really advertise that and get out in front of it, get everybody's really just inform the public of what's going to happen over the next really about, year and a half of construction. The First Street project went out to bid last week. Bid openings are scheduled for the second week in November. As you can imagine, this is a very exciting milestone in a decades-old project. Want to thank everybody for the work getting it across the finish line, especially the last couple weeks. We were on the phone with SHPO nonstop and the leading up to that. I'm still actually working with them on some fine-tuning of things, but the project can move forward with their approval, which was actually, we received a modification to an archaeological permit that's associated with the project. We received approval for that today. So yeah, it's all moving forward. Very exciting. The other thing I want to touch, I think everybody saw the email from Monday. Going forward, Jake will actually be the agency manager. So he will be, in his short time here, I have, enjoyed working with him, and I'm confident you're all in good hands. I'll continue to support the agency kind of in the background. Anything I can provide for a smooth transition, continued success for this agency. Crystal will continue working with the agency as well. As part of some other organizational changes, also the Economic Development Division is moving out of community development. It will be under the city manager's office now. And I just really want to, it's an honor and a privilege to work with everybody for the past couple of years, supporting the great work of the agency. I think we're in great hands. We've done a lot of great things. And thank you for your time.
Well, thank you and congratulations. Board should take note if anybody wants to throw rocks at the urban renewal effort, make sure to aim them appropriately at Jake now. And no, it's very exciting times. I'm glad we're here. I believe it was just about exactly a year ago we took a vote to approve and move forward the expanded spending authority, debt indebtedness for the agency. And I, for one, will be very happy to see us breaking ground and underway on First Street and the plaza. And yes, it will be some shuffling, but anyone who's ever had a project in their house knows that those times pass, and hopefully you're happy for the result. You got to move things around and get pinched for space a little bit, and then in the long term, things are much better with a little bit of luck. Are there any other staff updates or things to discuss? Is anyone else? Mr. Swift.
I want to thank Josh for all his work. It's been incredible working with you. I feel like you're always on top of things. You've kept us so informed, and we've demanded a lot from you, and you've always delivered. And just appreciate all the work that you've done. So we'll miss you.
Hear, hear. Thank you, Josh. Still got First Street. Anyone else with a word?
On First Street.
Right.
So he's not going anywhere.
I look forward to just put a placeholder there for when First Street gets wrapped up. I look forward to a cake and a little celebration. I think that would be in order, Mr. City Manager. I hope you make that happen.
I do have one more for the board. This is just kind of a consensus item. I'm applying for a around $200,000 recreational trails grant for the Federal Street Plaza for the bike hub. As you know, the Federal Street Plaza did not get $1 million grant last year. And so we're trying to cobble together as much money as we can. And so the bike hub is a great example of the end of the historic Columbia River Highway trail system. And so, you know, when you take the trail along the river all the way down, it pops you out right at our new plaza. And so I would really appreciate if we could get a letter of support, or if the consensus of the board would be to support a letter of support for the RTP grant from Chair Richardson.
Who would be writing that?
I will write it. You just got to sign it, and I just need their head nods.
Is anybody opposed or have a problem with us asking for a grant for our project? Please go write that.
You don't want to?
I'd be happy to tag team with you on it.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. That's all I have.
Anyone else for the good of the order? The gavel is up. The gavel is down.
God,
Record time.
I have never